I'm Joita Gupta, host of The Pulse on AMI Audio. I want to take you beyond the headlines of the biggest stories impacting the disability community. As a member of the blind community, I'll bring a unique perspective to the conversation, alongside experts, advocates, and more. Together, we'll give you a more complete picture of the issues that are most important to you. Listen to The Pulse today. Subscribe on your favorite podcasting app or platform.
This is an AMI podcast.
I'm Dave Brown, and this is a podcast version of AMI's morning show, Now with Dave Brown. Catch the live broadcasts weekdays from 9 to 11 a.m. Eastern on AMI Audio and AMI TV. Welcome back. It's Now with Dave Brown on AMI. Let's head over to the Atlantic provinces, to Moncton, New Brunswick, where we'll catch up with community reporter Louise Lebec-Burley. Hey, good morning, Louise.
Hi, Dave. How are you today?
I'm well. Nice to chat with you once again. And Louise, we're talking about the warm weather on the show today as lots of Eastern Canada and Central Canada getting a nice dose of early spring. And Louise, all this warm weather got you thinking about a trip you took back to Montreal back in the day with you and your guide dog. And by the way, as a Montrealer, I love talking about spring in Montreal.
Well, it was in... I don't know how many years ago, but my fourth guide dog, I'm on my sixth, just to give you an idea, and I keep them usually 7 or 8 years each. We were in training. There was myself and two other young lads in their 20s. I remember I was in my early 40s, and they were much taller than me, so their steps were much, much bigger. And the school mapped out a route for us to get from point A to point B to the van. And they said for us to meet at each crossing and wait for each other. But at one crossing, for some reason, it was a really, really busy crossing, and we got separated. They crossed, and I didn't get to cross. It was plus 34 degrees. I was sweating, and the poor little, his name was Soya, he was walking, and his paws were going up because the pavement was so hot. I'm sure you could have fried an egg on the sidewalk. It was so hot. And so all of a sudden I thought, listen, I had enough of this. I did half of the route. I'm smelling beer. I'm having a thinking cap on. I found a bistro. I found a table with a huge umbrella, tucked the dog under the chair, and the gentleman came, the waiter, and said, "What would you like?" I said, "I'd like a bowl of water for my dog, and I want a 12-ounce beer." I don't drink beer, Dave. I'm a wine girl. I was so thirsty, I thought, something's got to quench my thirst. So all of this time, I'm having a relaxing, and I'm drinking my beer. I finished one. I went on to a second one. And the young lads, they got to the van, but there was no Louise. So the instructor's like, "Where's Louise in Montreal?" Right? So they backtracked. They sent one instructor, and he backtracked the route, and he found me at the bistro. And I was almost done my second beer, and if he wouldn't have came, I would have had a third. And so he said, "You're having fun?" I said, "Absolutely." I said, "This is ridiculous, making dogs work and us work in plus 34 degrees. I said, "I'm too old for that." I said, "Would you like me to pay you a beer?" He said, "No, the van is on its way, so we need to finish up." So that was an adventure and a half that they weren't happy with me, but I was happy. So that was the main thing, and the dog was happy.
Louise, you're not the first tourist to be tempted by a terrace of a bistro in Montreal. That's for sure.
Yeah, and there's lots of them, and they're great. They're great.
Louise, let's go from Montreal back into New Brunswick. For folks in Fredericton this summer, they might want to check out King's Landing. So what's so special about King's Landing?
Well, King's Landing is a historical museum on land, 300 acres of land. There's 70 historical buildings that you can visit. They work the land with a farm. And on the farm, let me see if I can remember every animal that there was horses, there was cows, there was pigs, there was goats, there was sheep, chicken, rooster, and I think there was some geese. And they also have two friendly dogs that work the land and greet the guests. And it's a real nice place to go. You don't think that you can do it all in 1 hour. Like it's a half a day to a day for you to visit everything and wander along. For mobility impaired, you might have a little difficulty because nothing is paved. It's all gravel, and they do have scooters, and but they don't reserve them. It's first come first serve, and you have to sign a waiver. They do have horse rides and buggy
Oh
rides,
yeah.
and so you can sit and relax, and they'll take you around, and um, wheelchairs and walkers are allowed on the wagon. And so they have a couple of restaurants. One is called King's Head, and they have traditional meals in that one. It's a through and through restaurant. And then they have Axe and Plow. Plow is spelled Plough, and it's more like a little bistro cafe, specialty coffees and soups and salads and that. So it's a real fun place to go and just enjoy nature,
Yeah.
really.
Sounds like a little bit of a throwback, a nice way to spend some time outdoors.
Yeah.
Louise, I mentioned that it's in the Fredericton area, but specifically, where is it located, and how can folks find out more information?
Well, there's a website, and it's just on the outskirt of Fredericton. I'm not quite sure the kilometers, but it's not in Fredericton per
Right,
se. I
right.
think it's about 15 minutes outside, because they're farming, right? So they wouldn't be in the city.
I think even people who live in downtown Fredericton would say, "Yeah, I'm about 15 minutes outside Fredericton." That's the way Fredericton rolls sometimes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, yeah.
So looking at an approximate opening date here of June the 9th, and it's going to run until October, which is pretty cool. And you mentioned there's the website here, kingslanding.nb.ca, kingslanding.nb.ca. We've also got a phone number here for folks who might want to learn some more as well, maybe call in advance, as Louise, as you mentioned, scooter reservations and whatnot, or maybe asking some accessibility questions. Folks can give a phone call to 506-363-4958, 506-363-4958, or you can also, there's also another phone number here, 506-478-2276, 506-478-2276. And yes, I know you feel like I read that out rapid fire. Don't worry, all that information is going to go up on the blog after the show, ami.ca/nowblog, ami.ca/nowblog, or I'm sure you can also just type in King's Landing, New Brunswick, and you'll find that on the old Google machine. Of course, King's Landing was also the name of the main city in Game of Thrones, so you probably want to punch in New Brunswick there if you're going to be looking into the Google machine. Hey, Louise, let's jump into the world of prescriptions. A really neat program that we've talked about before is Script Talk, but we don't assume that everybody's listened to every single show we've ever done. So, Louise, give us the scoop on Script Talk.
Well, Script Talk is really neat. It's free of charge. And it's what is it called? Radio frequency labeling. And the labeling is done by your pharmacy. It's to read your prescription, whether it's an injection or other prescribed medication. And the pharmacy programs it, and then you at home have a handheld piece. It's like a little base, and it reads all of the information about your prescription, your side effects, when to take refills, all sorts of great information at your fingertips. And it's made by Vision American. And I'm not sure if this is available in Canada, but Vision American mobile phone is also compatible to these electronic programmed labels, but I don't believe we have that kind of phone in Canada. You call your pharmacy and ask about it and see if you have access to one. If not, you can always connect with Vision America, the maker.
Mm-hmm. Louise, we actually have a short video clip here to show us Script Talk at work. So let's give it a little bit of a listen here.
Medication. Amoxicillin, 250 milligrams. Patient. John J. Smith. Instructions. Take 1 capsule 3 times daily. Quantity, 30 capsule. Prescription date.
So, Louise, have you had a chance to try the Script Talk yourself?
No, I haven't. I use PenFriend.
Hey, so long as you got a system that works for you, that's the important thing. But yeah, I know we've talked about it before on the show. We actually interviewed one of the top dogs at the company that founded it a couple of years ago when I was hosting the Pulse. That was really, really cool because it's been a long-term project. They've been working on this for years and years and years, and more pharmacies are coming online with it. And Louise, as you mentioned, if you reach out to your pharmacist, oftentimes there's programs available to get those two organizations talking to one another, which is very, very cool. So we've got a number of sort of points of contact here. Some of them are quite long, but why don't we just start with the phone number, 1-800-890-1180. That's 1-800-890-1180, and that's how you can get in touch with Envision America. And of course, you can visit their website, envisionamerica.com, envisionamerica.com. And there's also some work through the CNIB, which they can also help you connect a little bit as well. But again, that website's got a lot of dashes and slashes, so we'd be here all day if I tried to read that one out. Hey, Louise, always fun chatting with you. Thank you for making time for us today. Thanks for sharing these stories, and we'll talk to you again in a couple weeks.
Sounds great, and have a great spring.
Yes, indeedy. Spring is in the air. That's Louise Levesque-Burley, our community reporter in Moncton, New Brunswick. And of course, when I share you these phone numbers and these email addresses and these websites, it can be a lot. And of course, if you're listening to the podcast, you can just keep rewinding 15 seconds. But that's monotonous and annoying. So just head over to the blog, ami.ca/nowblog, ami.ca/nowblog. That's where you'll find all the information like the websites, the phone numbers, etc. ami.ca/nowblog. You've been listening to Now with Dave Brown. Hit the subscribe button on any podcast platform and leave us a rating and a review.